So what does it really mean to be loyal? I mean, truly loyal. Not just when things are going great, but when it could cost you everything. That's what we're digging into in this explainer, based on a text exploring this exact idea, unchanging loyalty to God.
We all kind of feel like we have a handle on what loyalty is. It's about being faithful, being someone others can count on. But what happens when that loyalty gets tested? I mean, really tested. When it puts your own safety, your reputation, or even your closest relationships on the line. That's the moment, right? That's when we find out what loyalty is actually made of.
To really get at the heart of this, the source text introduces a specific Korean word, chungsung. Now, it translates to loyalty, sure, but it's much deeper than that. The meaning is more like a heart that doesn't change, based on trust and devotion. See, it's not just about what you do, it's about the state of your heart, something unwavering, something solid. Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to start with what loyalty really is, and then we're going to explore it through four incredible and very different portraits. Asking for God's will, having the posture of a steward, acting no matter the outcome, and holding on even when you're left all alone. And then we'll tie it all together. So let's really unpack this idea by looking at four stories, each one painting a picture of what loyalty looks like under some serious pressure.
So, the four figures who are going to guide us are David, the leader facing a crisis, Paul, who saw himself as a faithful steward, Ezekiel, the messenger who just wouldn't quit, and the psalmist, a person suffering in total isolation. Each of their stories shows us a completely different side of what loyalty can be.
All right, first up, our first portrait, the leader. And this is all about David, a guy whose loyalty was tested not when he was a king in a palace, but when he was a fugitive running for his life. So try to picture this. David is on the run. King Saul wants him dead. He's hiding out, just trying to survive. And then he gets word that a nearby city, Keilah, is being attacked. Now, the smart move, the logical move, would be to lay low, right? Save yourself. But David's loyalty isn't just to himself. And this is just incredible. Before he makes a battle plan, before he weighs the pros and cons, what's his first move? He asks God. That simple act of asking, of putting a higher will above his own survival instinct, that right there, that's the first act of loyalty. So David's loyalty here is all about humility. When the pressure is on, he doesn't just charge ahead with his own plan. He stops, he asks, and he listens. He seeks a will greater than his own. And that's our first portrait of what unchanging loyalty looks like. Okay, so if David shows us loyalty in a massive crisis, our second portrait, the Apostle Paul, shows us loyalty in the day-to-day grind. And he sees it not as being a boss, but as being a steward. So Paul is writing to this church where people are basically treating their leaders like celebrities. They're picking favorites, judging them, comparing them, and Paul just steps in and completely flips the script. He says, hey, don't think of us as leaders you should praise. Think of us as servants, as stewards. And this right here is the heart of it. He says if you've been given a trust, whether it's a mission, a talent, a responsibility, whatever, there's really only one thing required of you. You have to prove faithful. It's all about being loyal to the one who gave you that trust in the first place. For Paul, loyalty means you're not trying to win a popularity contest. Your main concern is being faithful to God, not getting good reviews from people. Success isn't about getting applause. It's just about being faithful. It's about how you manage whatever it is you've been given. So, our third portrait takes us to an even tougher place. What does loyalty look like when it's completely separated from the results? For that, we turn to the prophet Ezekiel. Okay, so Ezekiel's job description is, well, it's brutal. God sends him to speak to a group of people described as rebellious and stubborn. And God is totally upfront with him, basically saying, just so you know, they're not going to listen to a word you say. I mean, can you imagine that? Being assigned a mission where you're told you will fail before you even start? This command is just wow. It's radical. God defines Ezekiel's success not by the outcome, not by whether people change, but purely by the act of obedience. He says, you will speak my words whether they listen or not. His job was the delivery, not the reception. And this gives us our third portrait of loyalty. It's a commitment to the process itself, not the results. Faithfulness here is just about doing the task you were given, even if it feels like you're talking to a brick wall. It's about being true to the mission, no matter what. And that brings us to our fourth and final portrait. And honestly, this might be the most raw and personal one of all. This is the loyalty of the sufferer, the one who keeps faith when every single person has walked away. The writer of this psalm is at absolute rock bottom. He's suffering physically, he's suffering spiritually, and maybe worst of all, he is completely alone. The very people who should be by his side are gone.
I mean, that verse is just heartbreaking, isn't it? It paints this picture of total crushing isolation. Friends, companions, neighbors, everyone has left him behind right when he needs them most. So in that emptiness, in that silence, where does he possibly turn? In that silence, he turns to God. The psalmist's loyalty doesn't need an audience. It doesn't depend on good circumstances or a support system. It is a raw, clinging hope in God alone, because there's literally nothing and no one else. This is loyalty in the dark. So there we have it, the leader, the steward, the messenger, and the sufferer. Now let's just pull these four portraits of loyalty together and see what the big picture looks like. When you look at them all side by side, you realize loyalty isn't just one single thing. When you're facing danger, like David, it means seeking a higher will. When you're given a responsibility, like Paul, it's being a faithful steward. When you're facing rejection, like Ezekiel, it's committing to the process. And when you're abandoned, like the psalmist, it's an unwavering hope. Each one is just a different expression of that same core idea, a heart that doesn't change. And that really brings us to the final question for all of us. The source text, of course, is about loyalty to God, but the principle is universal. It kind of forces us to look in the mirror and ask, what is the ultimate object of my loyalty? Is it my own comfort, my success, what other people think of me? Or is it something more, something higher? Because in the end, what we choose to be loyal to, especially when it costs us something, that choice reveals everything about who we really are.